I'm delighted to say that Fuse ODG joins me now. Fuse, welcome to Uncensored. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It's a really interesting story, this. When I first read what Ed had said, I thought, hang on, come on. You can't attack Bob Geldof, Band-Aid, the whole thing, Live Aid. It was so fantastic. It did so much good 40 years ago. Why go after it? Then I read what you'd said, on which this is what Ed based his response on. And it did make me just stop and think. If I was currently living in Africa, would I want this narrative to keep playing out, given how thriving and successful large parts of the African continent have become? And I think that's really the point you were making, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. Well, first of all, I think it's very important that, you know, to recognize that the British public are a nation of givers. And, you know, 1984, when the crisis started, you know, the famine, it needed immediate attention. So I understand the sentiment behind helping that crisis. And in the short term, it made a lot of sense. You know, there was great intentions behind it. There's a lot of efforts from the artists, Sir Geldof and the team. There was the intention to help something immediately. The perspective that I'm coming from is that fast forward 40 years later, right? I think there's a way to execute things, because in the midst of this act of kindness trying to solve a short-term crisis, we've created another crisis, which is the identity crisis, where for me, growing up in the UK, these kind of images really affected me to the point where I disconnected with being African. I was not proud of being African.
Starving children should be the priority no matter where they are. And fixing that problem, pride, I would swallow that. I understand the perception. Maybe, I think there's a reasonable conclusion we could come here. We could talk about the region maybe, and not, you know.
Starving children are the priority, right? But I'm thinking about my daughter right now, right? I want my daughter to step outside her house being proud of who she is. Imagine your daughter stepping out feeling like, you know, anything that represents her is poor, is famine, is death, is just nothing that's building her self-confidence. And as a result of this issue, I'm having to affirm my daughter every day, because I know when she steps out, the worldview of how people see her is not so great because of images like, you know, Band-Aid initiatives. So all I'm saying is that there's a way to execute this. I'm not just thinking about myself. Yeah, it's too late for a lot of us older ones who've disconnected with who we are. I'm thinking about my daughter. I just want her to be herself. I just want her to be proud of who she is. I want her to understand that she is more than what the world tells her. So I have to affirm her every day. So what I'm trying to say is that we've created an identity crisis as a result of trying to help something in the short term. And I understand we have to prioritize the people starving. But let's also think about the future, the next generation of leaders.
Okay, let me get Najoli, because you want to respond to that.
I do. Well, as a father who's raised two boys, you know, I absolutely understand, especially one of them being special needs. I understand having to talk to your kid about being an individual and not having to kind of close out the world, and understand that the world is not going to cater to you because of this special need. And this is something you have to teach your kid individually as a father. I'm not going to tell you how to father, but I understand. I'm just saying there has to be some kind of compromise. To where maybe focus on the region, wherever that region is, and going, this region needs help, and do show pictures, because people aren't going to know if you don't. And it sucks to see that. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see starving children.
I'm so glad that you gave an example of your son, because you've been working so hard indoors, building his self-confidence. I've been doing that. A whole nation of us been doing that with our kids. But it's so hard when initiatives like Band-Aid come again, and it feels like it's setting us back, because it's 2024. We're supposed to embrace each other. We're supposed to uplift each other, not put each other down. There's a way we can execute this without putting ourselves down. And that's why I've even taken upon myself. We've launched an educational app that teaches Black history, so we can highlight Africa's contribution to the globe. So my daughter can understand that there's other representation of you that's been powerful, so you can be this powerful. We even have an affirmation tool for her to affirm herself. It's called School of New Africa. And this whole crisis has pretty much presented a situation where we've had to become the solution to it. Same way you've been working behind doors to be the solution to your child. I've had to bring the solution for my daughter, and I feel like we just all need to work together. If there's an issue, if there's a crisis, you need to allow the people that you're helping to lead the conversation.